కేంద్ర ఆర్థిక మంత్రి నిర్మలా సీతారామన్ మీడియాతో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. ప్రత్యక్ష ప్రసారం ద్వారా చూద్దాం.
नमस्कार, आप लोगों का सभी का स्वागत है। संडे वाले दिन 11 बजे आप लोग आए, लेकिन इतना इम्पोर्टेंट ब्रीफिंग है कि हम लोगों के लिए 11 बजे को बदखल जल्दी नहीं है, तो मैं अनुरोध करूंगा वित्त मंत्री जी से कि मैडम आज का ब्रीफिंग जो है वो शुरू कर दें।
Namaskar and thank you for coming on a Sunday. Today it marks the last of the tranches of announcement subsequent to Prime Minister's address to the nation. In fact, I'd like to start by quoting Prime Minister's some words of Prime Minister's speech that day, because what I'm planning to say today is very much pegged to that aspect of his speech. And I quote, "As a nation today, we stand at a very crucial juncture." He spoke in Hindi and a version of it in English has been translated. I'm using that. As a nation, we stand at a very crucial juncture. Such a big disaster is a signal for India. It has brought a message and an opportunity, unquote. He also used the expression crisis and an opportunity. That again leads to me to refer to his expression that we need now to build an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, laying the foundation for what I want to say today, a little again quote from the Prime Minister. Quote, "In order to prove the resolve of a self-reliant India, land, labor, liquidity and laws all have been emphasized in this package." So, a message from the pandemic, the challenges that it throws, the crisis and the challenge, and also looking at a self-reliant Bharat, an India which is going to be strong enough to meet the global challenges, but primarily looking at land, labor, liquidity and laws to bring that strength back to India and build a Atmanirbhar India. So, in the last 4 days of announcements, particularly the last 2 days, have had several reforms addressing the land, labor, liquidity and the laws. Today, we will be continuing in that series. PM also had said, "Jaan hai to jahan hai." Soon after announcing the lockdown, we had come with the PM Garib Kalyan package in order to immediately reach out to those who wanted food, who need food. We were not doing a favor to them, it was our duty. So we quickly went in to give next 3 months the requirement of grains as per the PDS, plus free grains also, because we didn't want them to scout for money to go and search for grains. Pulses were also given for 3 months in advance. And here, I would want to say a word in appreciation of the efforts that the Food Corporation of India, NAFED and the state governments all together put in facing the logistics challenge that this posed, upfront giving all the grains and the pulses as promised to everybody who needed it as per the cards in every nook and corner of the country. It was a logistic challenge Although the FCI and the NAFED and the state governments are quite adept at doing it, but all at one go upfront was a major issue because huge quantities had to go. But notwithstanding the lockdown, I again want to say the FCI, the NAFED and the state governments all came into the picture, made sure that the quantity of grains were lifted and gave them the workers who couldn't travel back, who actually could procure the grains from their cards. But there were also workers who couldn't go back to their homes, who stayed in the camps, because PM had very clearly said early, in one of his early messages, stay where you are. And state governments ensured that they prepared meal, NGOs participated in this, charitable organizations also made sure that these workers who are not able to go back home are attended to. Many employers also kept their workers in their own premises and gave them food and place to be. The PM Garib Kalyan used the technology available and therefore was able to do direct benefit transfer of cash for the various categories. I just want to quote some of these numbers now before I begin today's issue, because of the size of what is shown in these figures. The number of people to whom directly to their accounts money could reach because technology, direct benefit transfer technology, was in time adopted and implemented with such missionary zeal over the last 4 years. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been possible at all. PM Kisan beneficiaries as of 16th May, I'm strictly talking about the announcements and their impact. One-time transfer of 2,000 rupees each has reached 8.19 crore farmers. And that amount is about 16,394 crores. NSAP beneficiary, the old age and others, first installment 2.812 crores of people, 1,405 crores of rupees in the first installment, again 1,402 in the second installment. The target was to give away 3,000 crores, and that's almost nearly achieved. Jan Dhan account holding women under the PM Garib Kalyan were credited into 20 crore people's accounts. And that amounts to 10,025 crores of rupees. The building and construction workers received their financial support amounting to 3,950.35 crores, and their number, the building and construction workers' number, is 2.20 crores. Imagine each one of these numbers and their implication in terms of size. And all of them received the money directly into their accounts purely because DBT was possible. 6.81 Ujjwala Yojana cylinders have reached the beneficiaries, and they were free cylinders because we had promised up to 3 cylinders in those 3 months. To over 12 lakhs of EPFO members have benefited by the online withdrawal of non-refundable advance, and that amounts to 3,660 crores. So I can further go with the numbers, but just to highlight what the technology-driven DBT has given us at a time of emergency, a pandemic. And that is something which I want to draw your attention to. We immediately responded by giving food grains, cooking gas, cash where it was required, and immediately, that is. And most of them were front-loaded also. When the lockdown got extended, free grains and dal was also given for a further 2 months more. Free grains and dal was also given for 2 months more. And when it was really possible to have the workers go from the camps that they were in to their respective villages, trains were allowed, and state governments were requested to request for trains from the various stations that they wanted, so that once they brought the workers into that area, to that station, from that station they could be taken to their respective states. The cost of this travel, 85% of it was borne by the central government. The rest is 15% was with the state governments, 85% was borne by the central government. During the travel in the train, food was also given to the workers. So why am I elaborating all this? Just because, remember, jaan hai to jahan hai. So immediately, to make sure that the lives are given the first priority and attention, we ensured that this was extended. But now, it is important also to provide every support when in a changed post-COVID era, livelihoods will also have to come into their fullest play. So when the lockdown gets lifted, and when businesses, after facing severe stressful conditions of business, will be coming back to say, can I start my work back again? Can I get my workers back? Or do I have the money to buy the raw materials? Is it enough for me to pay the wages which is due? All kinds of considerations are going to come up, and many of them may also wonder if they were reaching a stage of bankruptcy. So all this has been kept in mind when we are addressing the issues of land, labor, liquidity, and the laws. So today, and like the days earlier, the 4 days earlier, our attempt is to make sure that, like the way we gave in PM Garib Kalyan, we attend to Jaan, but also make sure that environment is all right now for everybody to start protecting their work, their businesses, their homes, and everything else. Today, I have 7 such steps to tell you, and the order in which I'm saying them are: the first one is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Second is on health, and both in rural and urban, and together with it, I put an during the COVID period, education-related steps that have been taken. So that's the second. Third is on businesses and COVID. Fourth is on decriminalization of the Companies Act. Fifth is talking about ease of doing business and related matters. Sixth is on public sector enterprises related matters and the policy thereof. Seventh, state governments and resources related to state governments. So these are the steps which we are taking, 7 of them under these headings. And the last, of course, I will be coming to tell you about the 20 lakhs.
नमस्कार। आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हम सबके सामने बात रखी, देश के प्रति संबोधन किया। उसको देखते हुए हमने पिछले कुछ दिनों में वो कदम उठाए जो रचनात्मक और उपयोगी हों। वी हैव टेकन स्टेप्स विच वर कंस्ट्रक्टिव एंड प्रोडक्टिव, और योजनाबद्ध तरीके से हमने काम किया है। वी हैव वर्कड विद अ टारगेटेड अप्रोच इन द लास्ट कपल ऑफ मंथ्स, और जैसा वित्त मंत्री जी ने कहा और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा कि चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में भी संकट में अवसर देखने का काम किया है, और पिछले 5 दिनों में उन सबकी रूपरेखा आप सबके सामने रखी है। आत्मनिर्भर भारत का 20 लाख करोड़ का पैकेज और इसके साथ जो रिफॉर्म्स हम एक बड़ा बदलाव लाने के लिए और संबल प्रदान करने के लिए लाए हैं, वो पिछले कुछ दिनों में उसकी रूपरेखा हमने आपके सामने रखी। इस पैकेज में सभी वर्गों का ध्यान रखने का प्रयास किया गया है, चाहे वो किसान हो, बागवान हो, महिला हो, मजदूर हो, उद्यमी हो, युवा हो, इन सबके लिए ही, व्यापारी कर्मचारी तक के लिए भी उसका इसमें ध्यान रखा गया। और सबसे पहले ध्यान स्वास्थ्य की सुविधाएं देने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने घोषणा की थी। फिर प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण पैकेज को हम लेकर आए 1,70,000 करोड़ का, और उसमें भी अगर आप आज तक देखें तो सबसे पहले राशन देने का काम, अनाज देने का काम जो पूरे देश भर की राज्य की सरकारों और यूनियन टेरिटरीज के माध्यम से किया, तो 80 करोड़ लोगों को मुफ्त में 5 किलो गेहूं और चावल देने के लिए हमने इस योजना को लेकर आए, और इनके परिवारों को 1-1 किलो दाल देने का काम भी किया, और प्रति व्यक्ति 5-5 किलो गेहूं चावल। इसके अलावा गैस की कमी ना हो, ऐसे 6 करोड़ 81 लाख रसोई गैस के सिलेंडर, और इसमें 8,429 करोड़ रुपया इन बेनिफिशरीज के खाते में डायरेक्ट बेनिफिशरीज ट्रांसफर के माध्यम से किया गया है। किसानों के लिए पीएम किसान योजना के माध्यम से 8 करोड़ 19 लाख किसानों के खातों में 16,394 करोड़ रुपया ट्रांसफर कर दिया गया है। नेशनल सोशल असिस्टेंस प्रोग्राम जो वृद्ध, विधवा, अपंग के लिए किया जाता है, उसमें भी 2 करोड़ 81 लाख बेनिफिशरीज को 2,807 करोड़ रुपये अब तक ट्रांसफर कर दिया गया। कुल इसमें 3,000 करोड़ ट्रांसफर करना था। प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना खाते जो लगभग 20.5 करोड़ लोगों के हैं, महिलाओं के हैं, जिसमें शहरों में भी 2 करोड़ महिलाओं के खाते इसमें आते हैं, इसमें 40 करोड़ 54 लाख ट्रांसफर्स करके कुल 20,267 करोड़ रुपया ट्रांसफर कर दिया गया है। और बिल्डिंग एंड कंस्ट्रक्शन फंड 2 करोड़ 20 लाख बेनिफिशरीज को 3,950 करोड़ रुपया ट्रांसफर कर दिया। अब प्रवासी मजदूर अपने घरों में वापस कैसे जाएं? रोज की 300 गाड़ियां हमने रेलगाड़ी उपलब्ध करवाई हैं। जिस राज्य ने जितनी मांग की उसको उतनी उपलब्ध करवाई जा रही है। और इसमें जो मजदूर वापस गए उसमें 85% पैसा केंद्र सरकार ने खर्च किया ताकि मजदूरों पर कोई बोझ ना आए। रास्ते में खाना दिया। मोदी जी ने जहां एक और राशन देने का काम किया 80 करोड़ लोगों को, वहीं पर रेल की सुविधा भी 85 करोड़ पैसा केंद्र की सरकार ने किया। अब जो 8 करोड़ प्रवासी मजदूर हैं उनके लिए भी 35 करोड़ रुपए की योजना अलग से लाए कि उनके लिए भी राशन की कमी कहीं ना हो, तो गैस सिलेंडर भी दिया है। ये अपने आप में दिखाता है हमने कहीं कमी नहीं रखी। और ऐसे 12 लाख लोगों ने ईपीएफओ में से अपने 3,360 करोड़ रुपया पिछले 2 महीनों में निकालने का काम किया। ये सब कदम उस दिशा में है ताकि संकट की घड़ी में भारत के किसी व्यक्ति को कोई मुश्किल ना आए। हो सकता है कहीं थोड़ी बहुत कमियां रही हो, लेकिन प्रयासों में कोई कमी आगे भी नहीं छोड़ी जाएगी। अगर एमएसपी खरीद पर देखा जाए तो 74,300 करोड़ रुपया उस पर भी खर्च किया गया था। और जो 4.25 लाख करोड़ के ऋण किसानों ने लिए थे उसमें भी 3 महीने का मॉरेटोरियम अलग से दिया गया। 86,000 करोड़ रुपए के ऋण किसानों को पिछले 2 महीनों में दिए गए ताकि उनको फसल के समय कोई दिक्कत ना आए, और राज्यों को भी पैसा हजारों करोड़ रुपये उपलब्ध कराया ताकि खरीद हो सके। ज़्यादा इस पर लंबी बात ना करता हुआ आज हम आपके सामने कुछ रिफॉर्म्स लाए हैं जिससे अर्थव्यवस्था को और बल मिलेगा और इसकी जानकारी माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी आपके सामने रखेंगे।
So before I start on today's reforms and enabling measures, I would like to show what we have done in the last 2 months, particularly as regards containment of coronavirus, and also the way in which at that time businesses don't get affected by the compliance burden, and also make sure that children, school-going children, do have some technological support in conducting their classes, in having their classes conducted. So if we can start off with the slides. The health-related steps that have been taken are shown in this slide. 15,000 crores was declared by the Prime Minister as released, and from that 4,113 crores have been released to the states. Essential items of 3,750 crores were bought. Testing labs and kits were also brought in. Insurance cover, which is the most important thing there, insurance cover of 50 lakhs per person for health professionals under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana was announced. Also making sure that telemedicine comes into play. There was a rollout of e-Sanjeevani, which is a teleconsultation service, and capacity building exercises have also been taken up through virtual learning modules. Then protection of health care workers required an amendment in the Epidemic Diseases Act, which is a fairly an old act, but amendments have been made. And one thing which the Prime Minister mentioned during his speech, which is worth recollecting, that this challenge gave us an opportunity to prove to the world that we can ramp up production of protection equipments. Today, we have more than 300 domestic manufacturers of PPE, and early when this whole epidemic came into existence and all of us really got ourselves to take preventive steps, there were not even one producer of PPE. Already we have supplied about 51 lakhs of PPEs, 87 lakhs of N95 masks, and also 11.08 crores of hydroxychloroquine tablets. So that is as regards the health related matters. Ease of doing business, quite a few things have happened, but because I'm going to elaborate it as part of my package, I will not attend to it now. You can go over to the next slide. This also is something which we've been doing during the COVID time, just to make sure that activities are initiated as regards ease of doing business. I'll again come back to it when I'm getting in to talk about the package. The next slide. This is important because during the COVID, compliance burden was going to be a matter of concern, and people had said, even if we had violated one or two, or because we couldn't attend to office, or because my necessary staffs were not coming who were doing my compliance job, will action be taken against us. So today we have been joined by Secretary Corporate Affairs also. Timely action was taken to reduce the compliance burden under various provisions of the Companies Act. As well as that, companies could conduct, this is a very important technological advantage which we have used, like the DBT. We have said companies could conduct their board meetings, their EGMs and AGMs virtually using technology through video conferences, and the latest order pertains to the fact that even rights issues can be done leveraging the strength of Digital India. This is a major step forward in corporate governance. So this is something which, because of the pandemic, the Corporate Affairs Ministry has been very proactive to engage with the companies and understand how best their problems could be sorted out. So that was a measure taken in such a context. Other than that, of course, 44% recovery has been achieved during that time since 2016 inception of IBC. The other details I can give you a bit later, but I think during the COVID, we made sure that industries don't suffer. The third one about what we've done during the first 2 months during the COVID crisis is a bit of using technology for education. Online education has been taken up in a big way. Schools are now using a lot of technology, but Swayamprabha, which is a direct telecast mode that they have, direct to home channels have been used. 3 channels are already earmarked for school education. Now another 12 channels are to be added to this. I am sure in schools in the rural areas also this will be of great help, where schools can bring in technology to children, because irrespective of rural or urban, children love technology and they adapt very quickly to it. So the education, HRD, the education department, the human resource department has made the best of this time to provide curriculum through technologically active media. So provision has been made for telecast of live interactive sessions so that teachers and students can watch what is going on, and these channels bring in experts from home through Skype. Also they have tied up with private DTH operators like Tata Sky and Airtel to air educational video content. And this of course enhances the learning interest of children. So the states of India are coordinating to share airtime. 4 hours is given every day. States of India are also using it, and Swayamprabha channels therefore will be telecasting education related contents. 200 new textbooks are being added to e-Pathshala.
पिछले कुछ महीनों में विशेष तौर पर जो पहली कदम माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कोविड-19 को लेकर उठाया था, वो देश के लोगों के स्वास्थ्य की चिंता को करते हुए 15,000 करोड़ की घोषणा की थी, जिसमें से 4,113 करोड़ रुपया राज्यों को रिलीज कर दिया गया है, दे दिया गया है। आवश्यक वस्तुओं पर 3,750 करोड़ रुपया दिया गया, खर्च किया गया। टेस्टिंग लैब और किट्स के लिए 550 करोड़ रुपया, और जो हमारे कोविड-19 के वॉरियर्स हैं, जो हमारे हेल्थ वर्कर्स हैं, उनको 50 लाख रुपए का बीमे की व्यवस्था माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की। और यही नहीं, डिजिटल इंडिया को आगे बढ़ाते हुए आईटी का उपयोग करते हुए ई संजीवनी टेली कंसल्टेशन सर्विसेज का हमने इसकी शुरुआत की और कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग की, चाहे वो वर्चुअल लर्निंग मॉड्यूल्स की बात हो और आरोग्य सेतु ऐप, तो करोड़ों लोगों ने देश भर में इसको डाउनलोड किया और यूपीआई भीम की तरह एक ये भी बहुत सफल प्रयोग देश में रहा है, जिससे लोगों को लाभ मिल रहा है। और हम ट्रेस कर पा रहे हैं कि कोई व्यक्ति अगर कोरोना से संक्रमित है तो उसका भी आप कर सकते हैं, लोग सेल्फ असेसमेंट भी इसके माध्यम से कर सकते हैं। हमारे हेल्थ वर्कर्स के ऊपर हमला होता था, कोई लड़ाई झगड़े होते थे, उनको सुरक्षा प्रदान करने के लिए डॉक्टर हो, नर्स हो, पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ हो, इसके लिए भी हमने एपिडेमिक डिसीजेज एक्ट में उसमें बदलाव किया। और इसके अलावा जो हम कहते हैं कि संकट में अवसर देखने की बात, तो एक बड़ा उदाहरण यहां पर नजर आता है कि जहां भारत में एक भी पीपीई किट बनाने की कंपनी नहीं थी, आज 300 से ज्यादा यूनिट हैं, 3 लाख से ज्यादा पीपीई किट्स एक दिन में बनाई जाती हैं और N95 मास्क भी लाखों के संख्या में आज भारत में प्रतिदिन बनाए जाते हैं। ये एक बड़ा बदलाव है। और HCQ टेबलेट्स भी लगभग 11 करोड़ का उसका उत्पादन किया गया। ये अपने आप में उस दिशा में कदम है। इसके अलावा जो हमने कंप्लायंस बर्डन में कमी शुरुआत में की थी, वो भी शुरुआत में एक कदम था, क्योंकि 31 मार्च नजदीक आ रही थी, बहुत सारा दबाव कंपनियों पर रहता है। तो रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शन के जो प्रोविजन थे उसका युक्तिकरण किया गया और कंप्लायंस बर्डन को कम करने के लिए इस कोविड-19 के समय बहुत सारे प्रावधान कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 में उसके अंतर्गत ये प्रावधान किया गया कि जो बोर्ड मीटिंग्स हैं, EGMs हैं, AGMs हैं, उनको आप टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से कर सकते हैं। आपको व्यक्तिगत रूप से वहाँ पर उपस्थित नहीं रहना पड़ेगा। और एक बड़ा बात यह कि राइट्स इशू जो है, अब उसकी लिस्टिंग भी डिजिटल इंडिया की लीवरेज करते हुए हम इसको ऑनलाइन कर सकते हैं। ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है। PM केयर्स का जो फंड क्रिएट किया है, उसको भी CSR में उसको हमने रिकॉग्नाइज किया है। जिस तरह से सरफेसी एक्ट और DRT में पहले रिकवरी के प्रयास किए जाते थे, इंसॉल्वेंसी बैंक्रप्सी कोड में 2016 के आने के बाद इसमें दुगने से ज्यादा रिकवरी हुई है। 221 केसों में 44% रिकवरी इसमें हुई है। एडमिटेड क्लेम्स जो है वो लगभग 4,13,000 करोड़ के हैं और जो वसूली योग्य रकम है वो लगभग 1,84,000 करोड़ है। और जो 13,556 केसेस हैं उसमें लगभग 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया एडमिशन से पहले ही जो ऐसी उसकी अमाउंट थी उससे पहले विड्रॉ इतने केसेस को कर लिया गया। ये भी एक बहुत बड़ी बात उस दिशा में है। शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग कैसे हो, अब एक मीडिया में भी चर्चा थी, सोशल मीडिया में भी, कि गरीब के बच्चे तक कोविड-19 के समय शिक्षा की व्यवस्था कैसे पहुंचाई जाए। ये चुनौतीपूर्ण समय है, लेकिन हमारे HRD मंत्रालय ने इसको बड़ी जिम्मेदारी और गंभीरता के साथ लिया और प्रधानमंत्री जी के निर्देश पर अगर कुल मिलाकर देखा जाए, जैसे स्वयं प्रभा DTH चैनल पहले चलते थे, आज भी चलते हैं, वो मदद और सहयोग करने के लिए उसके माध्यम से इन लोगों तक पहुंचा जाएगा जहां पर इंटरनेट की सुविधा नहीं है। और इसके लिए 3 चैनल्स को चिन्हित कर लिया गया है शिक्षा प्रदान कराने के लिए और 12 और नए चैनल्स को इसमें जोड़ दिया जाएगा। यही नहीं, लाइव इंटरैक्टिव सेशंस, इसका टेलीकास्ट भी हो सके, इसका प्रावधान भी एक्सपर्ट्स के माध्यम से किया गया ताकि स्काइप के माध्यम से आप इसका कर सकें। प्राइवेट DTH ऑपरेटर्स तक भी हम पहुंचे हैं ताकि टाटा स्काई, एयरटेल और ऐसे जो बाकी प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं उसके माध्यम से भी हम अपनी पहुंच बढ़ाकर देश के करोड़ों लोगों तक पहुंच सकें और शिक्षा को उन तक पहुंचा सकें। हमने राज्यों से भी अनुरोध किया है कि आप 4 घंटे का हमें ऐसा कंटेंट एजुकेशन का दें ताकि हम स्वयं प्रभा चैनल पर उनको दिखा सकें। और दीक्षा प्लेटफॉर्म के 66 करोड़ हिट्स अब तक हुए हैं। टॉप 100 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, उनको भी अनुमति दी गई है ताकि वो ऑनलाइन ऑटोमेटिकली अपने कोर्सेज की शुरुआत कर सकें। आज के समय आपने देखा होगा अधिकतर बच्चों का समय टीवी के सामने या अपने स्मार्टफोन्स के सामने निकल रहा है, चाहे वो पढ़ने के लिए है या बाकी सबके लिए। गतिविधियां कम हुई है, घर से बाहर जाना कम हुआ है। तो साइकोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट के लिए, स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, टीचर्स के लिए, परिवारों के लिए, मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए मनोदर्पण प्रोग्राम को भी चलाया जाएगा और उनकी वेलबींग का ध्यान रखा जाएगा। इसको जल्द शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं।
We move to the third of the 7 steps that we're talking about. This is about IBC related matters, where many businesses have got severely affected, particularly during this lockdown and also the COVID pandemic. Debts related to COVID shall be excluded from default under the IBC. This is a change which we are going to make, that any debt which is incurred or indebted situation that comes up for companies because of coronavirus, they shall not be included in the category of default. Then no fresh insolvency procedures or proceedings will be initiated up to 1 year. At the moment, I think the MCA has extended it to 6 months. We intend extending it even by another 6 months because after all, when the lockdown gets lifted immediately, you're not sure how much of business will get restored. So, no fresh insolvency proceedings will be initiated up to 1 year. For MSMEs, which is again an important step, for MSMEs, a special insolvency framework will be notified under Section 240A of the IBC. One other thing which will benefit the MSMEs is the minimum threshold to initiate insolvency proceedings is now raised to 1 crore from 1 lakh, which will therefore insulate the MSMEs. This is a major step forward, and in all probability we will be going through an ordinance. Am I right, Secretary? An ordinance to achieve this goal immediately. Of course, we will go back to the Parliament once the Parliament commences to have it passed as an act.
जैसे हमने MSME यानी कि मध्यम सूक्ष्म लघु उद्योग की परिभाषा को बदलकर उनको जो जंजीरों में जकड़े हुए थे उससे मुक्ति दिलाई ताकि उनका विस्तार और विकास हो सके, उनकी क्षमता बढ़ सके। अब उनके ऊपर दिवालियापन की कार्रवाई ना हो, उसको स्थगित करने के लिए भी न्यूनतम सीमा जो है वो 1 लाख से बढ़ाकर 1 करोड़ कर दी गई है। इसका विशेष लाभ MSME सेक्टर को मिलेगा जो मध्यम सूक्ष्म लघु कुटीर उद्योग है। और यही नहीं, विशेष दिवालियापन रेजोल्यूशन फ्रेमवर्क को जल्द IBC कोड के अनुभाग 240A में के अंतर्गत सूचित कर दिया जाएगा। और कोविड-19 की सिचुएशन को देखते हुए जैसे जैसे परिस्थितियां आगे बढ़ेंगी, कितने समय के लिए इसको निलंबित करना है, 1 वर्ष की समय सीमा इसमें दी गई है ताकि कोई नई कार्रवाई दिवालियापन की यानी कि इंसॉल्वेंसी की कोई नई कार्रवाई इस पर शुरू ना हो सके, तो उसमें भी 1 वर्ष का समय दिया गया है। और नई इंसॉल्वेंसी की कार्रवाई शुरू ना हो, इसके लिए भी कोविड-19 से जुड़े हुए जो बाकी बात है, चाहे उससे कर्ज है बाकी हैं, उसको लेकर भी केंद्र सरकार को उसके लिए एम्पावर किया गया है, उसकी परिभाषा को लेते हुए।
The next is related matter, but related specifically to the Companies Acts and the related defaults. That's the next slide. Just prior to the lockdown, we had announced that we shall extend all the compliance deadlines. This form has to be filled up by this deadline. You have to do this compliance by so-and-so deadline. All of them were extended, and so that procedural defaults don't take place. Technical or procedural defaults was one thing which people were afraid of if we hadn't extended the compliance date. So now what we are trying to do is decriminalize most of the sections in Companies Act where you have violations which are technical and procedural nature. So we want to decriminalize all of them. Then compoundable offenses where there are, they can now be tried under internal adjudicating mechanism, and this way one, it becomes simpler, it can be sorted out at the local, the local internal adjudicating mechanism route rather than go to the courts. This will help us decongest the courts. The declogging is absolutely important for the criminal courts and for the NCLT. So amendments will now enable us to achieve all this. An ordinance again will have to be brought in for this. 7 compoundable offences altogether will be dropped, and 5 will be dealt with under alternative framework. There was a thing introduced in the Parliament, but then we didn't even have the time to take it up. But this has 1 or 2 other additional features with which we will now come up with an ordinance so that immediately it can benefit companies.
जो छोटे तकनीकी और प्रक्रियात्मक चूक होती है उसको अब अपराधीकरण की सूची में से निकाल दिया जाएगा। यानी कि छोटे मोटे तकनीकी या प्रक्रिया में आपसे कोई चूक रह जाती तो पहले उसमें क्रिमिनलाइज उसको उसके रूप में देखा जाता था, अब उसको डीक्रिमिनलाइज कर दिया गया है। जैसे आपने CSR की रिपोर्टिंग में कई कमी रह गई या आपकी बोर्ड रिपोर्ट में छोटी मोटी कमी रह गई, फाइलिंग के समय डिफॉल्ट हो गया, AGM की होल्डिंग में थोड़ा डिले हो गया, तो अब इन सबको से बाहर कर दिया गया है ताकि इसको उसमें अपराधीकरण की सूची में ना रखा जाए। एक और बड़ा बदलाव जो है, जो कंपाउंडेबल ऑफेंसेस थे उस सेक्शंस में भी बड़ा बदलाव लाया गया है, उसमें मेजॉरिटी में से पहले केवल 18 सेक्शंस को इंटरनल एडजुडिकेशन मैकेनिज्म के रूप में देखा जाता था, उसके अंतर्गत लिया जाता था। अब उसको बढ़ाकर 58 कर दिया है, यानी कि 40 और इसमें जोड़ दिए गए। अब इन सबको कंपाउंडेबल ऑफेंसेस के रूप में नहीं देखा जाएगा, इसको इंटरनल एडजुडिकेशन मैकेनिज्म में लिया जाएगा। और जो रीजनल डायरेक्टर है उसकी पावर्स को भी बढ़ा दिया गया है। तो इसमें कंपनीज की हरासमेंट भी कम होगी और काम करने का ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में भी बल मिलेगा। और जो हमारे न्यायालयों पर और एनसीएलटी पर दबाव रहता था केसेस का, अब कम केसेस उनमें जाएंगे और उसको भी लाभ मिलेगा। जो 7 कंपाउंडेबल ऑफेंसेस हैं उनको पूरी तरह से ड्रॉप कर दिया गया है और 5 को अल्टरनेटिव फ्रेमवर्क के रूप में लिया जाएगा।
The next one also relates to the corporate affairs. In order to make it easier for companies, there are several features, but I'll highlight only 2 of them. The rest will be shared to you. First is, this will help companies to directly list their securities in foreign jurisdictions. So now companies can list their securities directly in foreign jurisdictions. So this is one big step forward for Indian companies. And then second, listings of non-convertible debentures on stock exchange will not be regarded as those companies as listed companies. So if companies were to just put their non-convertible debentures in the stock exchange, it doesn't mean that they become listed companies. So these are 2 steps, but of course there will be more which will be shared to you. You will be able to get the further details on it. For want of time, I don't want to spend more time on it.
निजी कंपनियों को जो नॉन कन्वर्टेबल डिबेंचर्स को स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पर रखती हैं, उनको लिस्टेड कंपनियों के रूप में नहीं माना जाएगा, लेकिन भारतीय कंपनियों को, इंडियन पब्लिक कंपनीज को ये अधिकार दिया जाएगा कि वो जायज विदेशी अधिकार क्षेत्र में अब पब्लिक कंपनीज को डायरेक्टली लिस्ट करवा सकती हैं, सिक्योरिटीज को डायरेक्टली लिस्ट करवा सकती हैं, उसकी अनुमति उनको दी जाएगी।
The next one relates to a major step in that we would like to announce a public sector enterprise policy. An Atmanirbhar Bharat needs a coherent policy. All sectors will be open to private sectors also. Public sector enterprises will continue to play an important role in defined areas. We need a coherent policy because sometimes you opened up some sectors in piecemeal. This sector is open but not that. That sector has always been with public sector, it shall be with public sector. It's never available for others. So we are coming up with a coherent policy wherein private sector will be allowed to participate in every sector available, but of course public sector will continue, and they will continue to play a very critical role. And public sector, when I say public sector, I mean public sector enterprises. Public sector enterprises will continue to play a very important role, and we shall now define the areas in which their presence will be impactfully felt. So the Government of India will announce a new policy which will broadly categorize strategic sectors and the others. And the strategic sectors in which the PSE, public sector enterprises, will be present will be notified. In those notified sectors where PSE, public sector enterprises will be present, at least one public sector enterprise will be present. In those sectors which get notified as where you'll find the public sector enterprises, at least one public sector enterprise will be present, whilst private will also be allowed to play their role in it. However, in those sectors which get notified as strategic sectors in which public sector enterprises will be present, only 1, 2, 3 or 4 public sector enterprises will be present. In the sense, not more than 4 public sector enterprises will be there in that strategic sector notified for the presence of public sector enterprises. So if a sector is notified, and in that if there are 10 public sector enterprises, either they will be merged together or they will be brought together in such a way that they are only 4 or lesser. So there won't be mushrooming public sector enterprises in those notified strategic sectors. So in the notified strategic sectors, definitely public sector undertakings or enterprises will be present, but private sector will also come in. But imagine a particular sector which is notified as strategic. If there are too many public sector enterprises, they will either be brought together to form bigger public sector enterprises, and in that process we will not have more than 4 of them. They can be lesser than 4, but not beyond 4 public sector enterprises in those notified strategic area. Private sector can slowly come in and be present and compete in every sector, but the detailed policy will soon be opened up and issued.
भारत और दुनिया में पिछले कुछ दशकों में बड़े बदलाव आए हैं, इसलिए पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइजेस को लेकर भी एक नई नीति की आवश्यकता है, जिससे हम ये तय कर पाएँ कि एक लिस्ट हो जहाँ पर स्ट्रैटेजिक सेक्टर्स हमारे जो हैं उनको तय किया जाए, ताकि जो हमारे सरकारी उपक्रम हैं उनके बारे में क्या क्या निर्णय किए जा सकते हैं। ये जो लिस्ट स्ट्रैटेजिक सेक्टर्स की बनेगी, इसको पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट को यानी कि जनहित को, राष्ट्रहित को और राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा को ध्यान में रखते हुए बनाया जाएगा, और इससे बाहर जो कंपनियां रह जाएंगी उनको प्राइवेटाइज करने के अवसर दिए जाएंगे, जहां पर प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स आकर आ सकते हैं। चाहे इनके मर्जर्स की बात हो, विलयीकरण की बात हो, वो भी किया जा सकता है, इनकी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के लिए भी। और पीएससीज को प्राइवेटाइज करने के लिए समय पर, जब उचित समय होगा, बाजार को देखकर कि कब इसका निजीकरण करना चाहिए, मार्केट के हालात और प्रशासनिक साध्यता को देखकर जनहित में वो भी लिया जाएगा। और ये जो लिस्ट है पीएससीज की, इसको तैयार किया जाएगा, लेकिन स्ट्रैटेजिक सेक्टर्स में कम से कम एक ये पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइज सार्वजनिक उपक्रम बना रहे, इसके लिए हम लगातार नीति में रहेगा, और बाकी प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी उसमें आकर काम कर सकते हैं, इसकी अनुमति उनको होगी। तो कुल मिलाकर जब विलय कर, जैसे हमने बैंकों को 4 को 1 कर दिया, तो उनका जो वेस्टफुल एक्सपेंडिचर है वो भी कम होता है। 4 दफ्तरों की बजाय 1 दफ्तर में चलेंगे, 4 सीईओज की बजाय 1 चाहिए होगा। उसी तरह से उनके खर्चे कम करके उनको मुनाफा भी आता है और लोगों को भी सुविधाएं ज़्यादा मिलती हैं। तो इनको चाहे प्राइवेटाइज करने की बात हो, मर्जर करने की बात हो, या किसी होल्डिंग कंपनी के अंतर्गत लाने की बात हो, ये सारी रिफॉर्म्स उस दिशा में की जाएंगी ताकि हमारे सार्वजनिक उपक्रम अच्छा कर सकें। स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर में कम से कम 1 सार्वजनिक उपक्रम रहेगा, प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स आ सकते हैं, लेकिन जो बाकी हैं उसके बाहर उनका निजीकरण करने की अनुमति होगी।
I move to the last of the steps today before we go to talking about other matters. supporting state governments, the support which is already extended to the state governments in the recent past in the context of the COVID lockdown. We completely recognize that, like the center, states are also facing a sharp decline in their revenues. Despite all this, we have consistently extended the support which is needed to be extended to the states, particularly because they are at the front end of fighting the COVID pandemic. Taxation devolution, if everything had been normal, as per the budget estimates, what had to be devolved to the states, we have devolved. 46,038 crores was devolved in April, which is based on the calculation provided in the budget, based on the BE, and that devolution happened as though everything is normal, as was presented in the budget. But of course, after budget, things did change because of the pandemic. But 46,038 crores has been devolved based on the budgetary estimates. Next, revenue deficit grants to the states, 12,390 crores, was given on time. We have not, because our revenues or, there are difficulties, we have not held back. And it's our duty. I'm not saying we have done a favor. It's our duty. We have given it. Revenue deficit grants to the states of 12,390 crores was given on time in April and May, despite centers' stressed resources. What normally gets devolved over a couple of months, the SDRF, State Disaster Relief Fund, in advance was released, keeping in mind that there is a pandemic which the states are fighting, and this release happened even in the first week of April. First week of April, which is the beginning of the financial year, 11,092 crores was released, which is the SDRF fund, which normally would have got released as and when there is a situation. Health Ministry has separately from its side released 4,113 crores so that anti-COVID activities can be funded. So that's also happened. And on center's request, and I say this way because together with the secretaries, we had a video conference with the RBI, and during that RBI video conference, we had requested the RBI, which of course is their business and their terrain, but we did request, and I'm grateful that the governor and his team of officers had very readily agreed the ways and means advance limits to states has increased by 60%. Increased to? By 60%. So RBI, I'm happy to say, RBI in a very timely step has increased ways and means advance limits for the states by 60%. RBI also increased the number of days states can be in continuous overdraft position from 14 days, which is normal, to 21 days. So the continuous overdraft they can remain now, not just for a fortnight, but 3 weeks. Also the number of days, the overdraft facility that they can have, number of days that a state can be in an overdraft situation in a quarter has been raised from 32 to 50 days. So nearly more than half the time, even if you're in overdraft position, Reserve Bank is okay with it. So these things had happened, and I wanted to say this is the support which we've already, because we understand states are the ones who are fighting at the forefront in containing COVID. We have not in any way hesitated to do what we are expected to do, although even we are under stress. We move to the next. Continuing with the supporting state counts. You know, states have a net borrowing ceiling, which is about 6.41 lakh crores based on a 3% of GSDP. They can borrow up to 3% of their state's gross domestic product. 75% of was authorized already by us. You can go ahead borrowing that 3% amount. Today, I'm just stating a matter of fact. States have only so far borrowed only 14% of that limit which is authorized for them. They can always, in the first half of the year, borrow 50%. But we said you go ahead borrowing further for the first half, 75% also you borrow right at the beginning. But I'm just stating a matter of fact position that states have so far borrowed only 14% of the limit which is authorized to them. 86% of the authorized borrowing limits remain unutilized as of now. Nevertheless, because chief ministers have written to the Prime Minister, finance ministers have written to me saying, please increase our borrowing limit. It is now 3% of your state's GSDP. We have now agreed to increase this to 5%. Because it's an unprecedented situation, we have acceded to the demand of the states and increased their borrowing ceiling from 3 to 5%. This will give an extra 4.28 lakh crores to the states. 86% is remaining, although it is authorized, it is remaining unutilized. Only 14% has been utilized by the states. They have requested us for increasing the cap for borrowing from 3%. So we've agreed to increasing the borrowing limit to 5%. So an additional 4.28 lakh crores will be available as extra resources for the states.
हाल ही में राज्य और केंद्र की आय में भी भारी कमी आई है और जब इस महामारी के समय में दोनों को ही बहुत आवश्यकता है, तो इस समय में केंद्र ने लगातार खुले दिल के साथ राज्यों की मदद करने का काम किया है, जो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। और यही नहीं, जो डेवोल्यूशन ऑफ टैक्सेस है, अप्रैल के महीने में 46,038 करोड़ रुपया ये राज्यों को दिया गया। और ये जैसा हमने बजट एस्टिमेट्स में पूरा प्रावधान किया था, लेकिन अभी किसी को पता नहीं अगले कुछ महीने कैसे जाएंगे, हमने उसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए 46,038 करोड़ रुपया ये डेवोल्यूशन ऑफ टैक्सेस के रूप में राज्यों को दिया है। हालांकि हमारे अपनी उसमें डिक्लाइन हुई है, उसमें चलते हुए भी जो रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट ग्रांट है ये भी 12,390 करोड़ रुपया अप्रैल के महीने में और मई के महीने में दिया गया। हमारी अपनी आर्थिक संकट के उसके बावजूद दिए गए हैं। और स्टेट डिजास्टर रिस्पांस फंड ये भी अप्रैल के पहले हफ्ते में 11,092 करोड़ रुपया राज्यों को दिया गया। 4,113 करोड़ रुपया हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री के माध्यम से डायरेक्ट एंटी कोविड एक्टिविटीज के लिए दिया गया। और जो माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने और हमारे बाकी अधिकारियों ने आरबीआई से वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस के माध्यम से आरबीआई गवर्नर से अनुरोध किया था कि राज्यों की वेज एंड मीन्स एडवांसेस को उसकी लिमिट को बढ़ाया जाए। हमारी जो मांग थी और जो राज्यों की भी मांग थी, ये तो राज्यों की मांग के अनुरूप या उससे ज़्यादा भी हमने वेज एंड मीन्स एडवांसेस की लिमिट को 60% बढ़ाया है। और जो नंबर ऑफ डेज कि कितने दिन तक लगातार राज्य ओवरड्राफ्ट रख सकते हैं, उस सीमा को भी 14 दिन की बजाय 21 दिन किया गया, और एक तिमाही में कुल कितने दिन आप ओवरड्राफ्ट रख सकते हैं उसको भी 32 दिन से बढ़ाकर 50 दिन किया गया है। एक तिमाही में 50 दिन तक ओवरड्राफ्ट अब राज्य रख सकते हैं। उस दिशा में भी ये केंद्र ने जो अनुरोध आरबीआई से किया था वो सब उन्होंने किया है, इसलिए हम उनका शुक्रिया भी अदा करते हैं। अब जो नेट बोरिंग की बात आती है उसमें राज्यों ने मांग की थी कि जो उनका सकल राज्य घरेलू उत्पाद है उसके 3% की बजाय, यानी कि उनकी जीएसडीपी के 3% की बजाय उससे बढ़ाकर उनको अवसर दिए जाए। तो इसमें भी माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो राज्यों की बोरिंग की सीलिंग है उसको बढ़ाया है और इसको 3% से बढ़ाकर विशेष बढ़ोतरी की है। 3% से बढ़ाकर 5% किया है, जो लगभग 70% की वृद्धि है। लेकिन जो अभी भी हमने इससे पहले उनको अनुमति दी थी कि जो आपका 3% भी है आप उसका ज़्यादा पैसा पहले रेज कर सकते हो, पहले तिमाही में, इन 2 महीनों में। उसमें भी जो 75% उनको ऑथराइज किया था मार्च महीने में, और राज्यों के ऊपर हमने छोड़ दिया था कि आप जितना लेना चाहें 75% तक आप ले सकते हैं, उसमें भी केवल 14% तक ही उन्होंने अपनी जो ऑथराइज लिमिट थे उसका बोरो किया है। 86% अभी तक भी उन्होंने उसका इस्तेमाल नहीं किया। लेकिन उसके बावजूद हम इसको 3% से बढ़ाकर 5% कर रहे हैं। ये अपने आप में एक बड़ी कदम उस दिशा में लिया है जो केंद्र ने राज्यों की मदद करने के लिए लिया, और जो उनकी मांग थी उसको पूरा भी किया है। इससे राज्यों को 4,28,000 करोड़ रुपया अतिरिक्त संसाधन मिलेंगे, जिससे राज्यों को बहुत बल मिलेगा।
I move to the next one, which is also about the state governments and the extra borrowing limits that we are extending. Part of the borrowing will be linked to specific reforms. From 3 to 5 is the increase. From 3 to 3.5 unconditionally we extend. The next 1%, which is up to 4.5%, we will release in 4 tranches of 0.25%, each of the tranches linked to a clearly specified, measurable and feasible reform which is necessary as an action to be taken. And why do we want this linkage with reform, state level reform? Because we want to make sure that the poor benefit by all the monies which are getting borrowed, and we from the center and states are collectively committed to, for instance, implementing one nation, one ration card, implementing ease of doing business at the district levels, power distribution and related issues. We spoke about the DISCOM problems, GENCOs not getting paid, and the urban local body revenues related issue. So I repeat, we have increased the borrowing limit for the states from 3 to 5. From 3 to 3.5, the additional, that 0.5% is unconditional. After that, up to 4.5, that 1% increase will be released in 4 tranches, and each one of those tranches will be linked to reforms which have to be taken with specified, measurable, feasible action. The next one, which is another 0.5, because I would have touched 4.5 with that, the last 0.5 will be given as soon as the milestones are achieved, not in all the 4, but at least in 3 of these conditions. So if you're talking of one nation, one ration card, ease of doing business, power distribution related matters, urban local bodies matter, there are 4. From among the 4, if at least 3 are completed, the last 0.5% will be released. So 3.5 unconditional, another 1% in 4 tranches linked to 4 of those different measures, and the last 0.5 to be released once at least 3 of those 4 are achieved.
पिछले कुछ दिनों में आत्मनिर्भर भारत के 20 लाख करोड़ के पैकेज के साथ आपने बहुत सारी रिफॉर्म्स भी केंद्र सरकार के द्वारा लाई गई। ये ऐतिहासिक भी थी, और मैं तो कहूँगा अगर भारत के संदर्भ में 2020 को 2020 को देखा जाएगा तो ये ईयर ऑफ रिफॉर्म्स के रूप में देखा जाएगा। अब इसमें राज्य की सरकारें भी अगर रिफॉर्म्स लाती हैं तो इसमें संघीय ढांचे में और बल मिलेगा, और नीचे तक जो हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने की बात करते हैं उसी दिशा में एक बड़ा कदम है। तो 3% से जो 5% तक जो अपने जीएसडीपी के मुकाबले उनको पैसा रेज करने के लिए अनुमति दी गई है, उसमें कुछ रिफॉर्म्स के साथ हमने उसको जोड़ा है। 4 क्षेत्रों के लिए जोड़ा है, जिसमें 1 नेशन 1 राशन कार्ड हो, जिससे सबसे बड़ा लाभ प्रवासी मजदूरों को मिलेगा, गरीब लोगों को मिलेगा। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में जहां बाकी रिफॉर्म्स हमने एमएसएमई सेक्टर की परिभाषा या इसेंशियल कमोडिटी एक्ट एपीएमसी एक्ट में बदलाव करने से की हो, पावर रिफॉर्म्स पावर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेक्टर के लिए, उसी तरह से अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज में आय के साधन कैसे बढ़े ताकि आने वाले समय में ये जो कर्जा राज्य की सरकारें ले रही हैं इनके ऊपर बोझ ना बने और इनके अपने आय के साधन भी बढ़े, रिफॉर्म्स भी ला सकें, उस दिशा में बड़ा कदम है। जैसा केंद्र सरकार ने रिफॉर्म्स लेकर आए, मेरा मानना है इन रिफॉर्म से भारत में रोजगार, स्वरोजगार, कारोबार और आविष्कार के बहुत सारे अवसर बनेंगे, नए अवसर उत्पन्न होंगे। इसी तरह से राज्यों के लिए भी इस तरह के रिफॉर्म्स को साथ में जोड़कर देखा गया, जिससे राज्यों में भी रिफॉर्म्स आए। तो इसमें जो पहला 0.5% है, यानी कि आधा प्रतिशत है, वो अनकंडीशनल है, उसके लिए कोई कंडीशन नहीं है। जो बाकी 1% है उसको 4 किश्तों में, जो 4 हमने परिवर्तन करने के लिए रिफॉर्म्स करने की बात कही, उनमें 4 में से अगर 3 भी आप कर लेते हैं तो आपको 1% उसका रिलीज कर दिया जाएगा 0.25 की ट्रांचेस में।
One small correction. That 1% will be released in 4 tranches for dealing with those 4 reform steps: 1 ration, 1 card, ease of doing business, power distribution, and urban local bodies. So that 1% goes in tranches of 0.25 for each of these tied to the reforms. After at least 3 are done, then you get the last 0.5.
धन्यवाद। ये जो 4 रिफॉर्म्स की बात कहेगी, जब आप इस माइलस्टोन को अचीव करेंगे तो 0.25% के हिसाब से आपको उसको मिलेगा, जो 1% आपका बनता है। और जब आप इन सबको कर लेते हैं, उसमें से 3 भी आप माइलस्टोन्स को अचीव करते हैं, तो आपको 0.5% यानी कि आधा प्रतिशत आपको एक इंसेंटिव के रूप में दिया जाएगा। तो कुल मिलाकर 5% की आपको ये लाभ मिलेगा।
Before we go to the next slide, I just want to now say, I've finished with all these 7 steps that I have to say. I'm now going to just show you from the time Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan was announced, what are the kind of measures we have taken in numbers. That will be of great interest to you all, because I remember many of you, my friends, have been asking from day one, what's this 20 lakh? You have the answers today. Stimulus from earlier measures, which is the one which starts from Garib Kalyan. This does not include any of those 4 days before today. Today is the 5th day. So these 5 tranches are not yet shown here. Revenue lost due to tax concessions, which were announced as of March 22nd, is about 7,800 crores. I'm not getting into the details now. Then you have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package, which is at 1.70,000 crores. And then the health sector announcement, which was 15,000 crores, totaling to 1,92,800 crores. I can see a lot of our friends sitting up, getting to the edge of their seats. We are giving you all the details, not to worry. Okay, so this is before we even started talking about the 5 tranches. This is before the Prime Minister even spoke about a stimulus package. And this actually leads to all those poor need food, poor should not be hungry, poor should have at least some money in hand, poor should be given medical help, they should be treated for preventing COVID, they should be attended to, they should have, if they are staying in camps, food to be given and so on. And also for those small businesses who can't do compliance and so on. So this is part of the stimulus, although it came before Prime Minister's speech. So Nathan, you're all right with me going over to the next few slides? All of you are all right? Okay. We now go tranche by tranche. The next slide will show you, when I say part 1, it means tranche 1. Okay? Emergency working capital facility for businesses, including the MSMEs, 3 lakh crores, where we are giving 100% guarantee. Subordinate debt for stressed MSMEs, again Government of India guarantee, 20,000 crores. Funds of funds for MSME, that is up to 50,000 crore. EPF support for business and workers, 2,800 crores. Reduction in EPF rates, 6,750 crores. Special liquidity scheme for NBFCs, HFCs, Housing Finance Corporations, and microfinance institutions, 30,000 crores. Partial credit guarantee scheme, which is the second version because we had announced one earlier, for liabilities. The earlier one looked at the asset side. This one looks at the liability side. And earlier it was probably guaranteed 10%. This time it is 20% guarantee for the first loss. So NBFC, HFC and MFIs, 45,000 crores. Liquidity injections for DISCOMs, 90,000 crore. Reduction in TDS and TCS rates, down by 25%, 50,000 crores. So all this takes the first day announcements total to 5,94,550 crores. Can we move to the second? Second tranche, free food grain supply to migrant workers for 2 months, which I did repeat now. First tranche per PM Garib Kalyan, but the second one, 3,500 crores. Interest subvention which I announced for the Mudra Sishu loans, 1,500 crores. Special credit facility to street vendors. 50 lakh street vendors were to benefit out of it. Each would get up to 10,000 rupees. I had announced it earlier. That takes 5,000 crores. The CLSS Middle Income Group Housing Program, 70,000 crores. Additional emergency working capital, which we said will benefit small and marginal farmers, 30,000 crores. Then I spoke of Kisan Credit Card and additional credit which we want to extend to 2.5 crore farmers. That sixth item, which refers to KCC, was to benefit 2.5 crore small farmers, 2 lakh crores. So the second day's announcement, second tranche, totals to 3,10,000 crores. I move to the third tranche. Micro food enterprises. I get very mixed up with the food micro enterprises, micro food enterprises. I'm comfortable calling them micro food enterprises. Micro food enterprises which were to benefit 2 lakh units, meaning 2 lakh small entrepreneurs who are running their food processing centers can all benefit, and that would mean 10,000 crores. Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, 20,000 crores. Top to total, if you remember, tomatoes, onions, and potatoes had quite a lot of assistance rent under Operation Green. We said this is being extended to the next 6 months, and now that will be extended to all others. That is why total. So what was pertaining to tomatoes, onions, and potatoes now is going to include a whole gamut of vegetables and greens and fruits. Operation Green gets 500 crores. Agri-infrastructure fund, the farm gate infrastructure which I've spoken about, 1 lakh crores. Animal husbandry infrastructure development, which we spoke about yesterday also, dairy development, this is 15,000 crores. Promotion of herbal cultivation, I did speak to you all elaborately about it, 4,000 crores. A small but a very essential from the point of view of agri-life. Agri-life is now desperately in need of pollination agents. Beekeeping initiative, 500 crores. So Tranche 3, the third set of announcements which were made after Prime Minister's self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the third announcement, totals to 1,50,000 crores. I put together 4 and 5. The fourth tranche and the fifth tranche are going to be shown together. The viability gap funding for social infrastructure, 8,100 crores. The additional Manrega which I have announced today, 40,000 crores, over and above the BE allocated 61,000 crores. So 40,000 crores for additional Manrega totals for 48,100 crores. So now can we go to the total of all the 5 plus the one earlier announcement put together? 20 lakhs 97,053 crores. 20 lakhs and 97,053 crores, of which the categories are clearly available. Part 1 means Tranche 1, Part 2 is Tranche 2, Tranche 3, Tranche 4 and 5 put together. Earlier measures including PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was shown earlier also. And here I bring in the actual utilized monies from the RBI's measures, which is 8,01,603. They may have announced over 9 lakhs plus. RBI may have announced 9 lakh plus, but actually utilized, because we're talking about liquidity going to the people, 8,01,603 is what is the actual figure we've taken. So the total, as Pradhan Mantri ji had announced, is 20 lakhs for the stimulus. I have finished. Thank you.
Friends, I think इतना detail में देने के बाद I'm seeing almost everyone is ready with a question, and today incidentally I have got maximum question online also. So we will take some online questions and some from the hall. Madam, this first question is online. Do we expect more bank mergers in view of the privatization? If yes, when will the new mergers start? Bank mergers, right?
No, we have not announced anything. So mergers have not announced anything.
Number 14.
I'm Timsi this side from CNBC TV 18. Few clarities on the state finances. You said that government has hiked the borrowing limits along with the details of how they can borrow. Does this mean it will also help, has government increased the fiscal deficit of the states under the FRBM from 3% to 5%? Also, states are expecting some of their pending dues when it comes to the GST compensation dues, etc., which are pending of the previous fiscal. By when can they expect that? And on the company affairs, Is there more which is coming, because companies are requiring a lot more clarity and a lot more relaxations when it comes to their corporate governance norms, which they are unable to meet due to the current COVID situation?
The companies thing, I think we are continuously addressing it as and when things are required. Prior to COVID, we did address a lot of criminality-related matters. During COVID, I've explained to you. We'll keep on continuous interaction with companies and we'll address those concerns which they come periodically. On the state's dues, I think we are periodically talking about it. GST dues is very clearly explained in the GST Council. It's not for one state and not for other, or selective states and not for others. All states' GST dues are dues which we recognize December, January, February, March, have not been paid. All right? Then on the FRBM, you'll get to know about how states are going to handle their own. I can't speak for them.
Can we have details of new strategic sectors under the new public sector policy, which is?
Yes, I said the policy will be announced and the list will come out from the time when the policy gets really, and it's not going to be too long. Sooner we'll announce it. The list will be out then.
Number 11.
Thank you, Madam. I'm happy that you have given a breakup. The real issue, as the first day I'd asked you, is about the fiscal deficit, because I understand that today is a difficult time. Nobody had envisaged COVID and where it has. So where do you target it? Because you've already done additional borrowings. You're also increasing 3 to 5%. So will you be able to? The budget estimated it at 3.5. That's not possible. So where do you see it touching now?
Sunil, we are only in May. February was the budget. April 1st is the new year. We've not even completed 2 full months of the new year. And we've also continuously kept showing what we are doing. So I think we'll allow it for a bit later to talk about fiscal deficit.
Sunil, the question is COVID related here also online. I'll read that question. I think that will complete this month. But is COVID related debt? Is it debt which is raised during the COVID period, or the debt raised from the banks under their COVID timelines, or the debt which is announced for the first time for the MSME?
When that notification will be issued by the Secretary MCA, he would definitely tell a specific date from when debt incurred as debt incurred during COVID period. It could be any date commencing, say, I don't know, 1st February, or the date when the lockdown started, something. Mine will be applied to say what relates to be defined as COVID-related debt. So I may not give you the specific date now. I've told you that I'm working on it. The notification, when it comes out, will tell you when does that start. The definition of what gets defined as COVID-related debt. From which date does it start? Will be clear. It will be absolutely made clear by the Secretary when he releases the notification.
59.